With me is Mr. Muktesh Pardeshi. He is the Special Secretary, someone who is the head of all the operations and logistics. So let's get into the brass tacks and ask him that question that all Delhiites and people all over India want to know answers of. In terms of numbers, what are the preparations, efforts that have been put in place? And if we were to look at the boots on ground, the number of bureaucrats and officials who are all involved in the preparations.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me to your show. First of all, what is G20? G20 is an economic grouping consisting of 19 important leading economies of the world. Plus, we have European Union. India has also extended a special invitation to 9 countries. And there are several international organizations. So we have 40 plus delegations headed by President, Prime Minister, in some cases Foreign Minister, and international organizations led by their Secretary General or Executive Directors. So we have 40 plus the leaders arriving for the G20, the summit.
And their delegations.
And the delegation, security personnel, air crew. So if you multiply 40 yes. by, say 150 or 200 per delegation, some delegations are much more, then you get a figure of a few thousands, around 7,000-8,000. We have a good number of international media coming, at least 1,000 international media representatives should be there. There is another 1,000 plus from national and regional media who have registered. So you have a number of 8 to 10,000 people who will be at Bharat Mandapam from 9th onwards for 2 days. You have to add the number of Indian security personnel, officials who will be joining the Indian delegation, who are joining as support staff, catering people, maintenance people, and there are multiple layer of people coming from event management company, craftsmen. There are people who are involved in installing exhibition. So we are talking about more than 10,000 people who would be at
there
Bharat
in those
Mandapam.
48 hours
yes.
at Bharat Mandapam.
Yes.
We do know that the Prime Minister's office and top government officials are involved in what is being seen as meticulous planning. What is it that India is doing as it has the presidency, which other countries did not?
Well, the presidency is a year-long presidency. And now it's up to the host government how to visualize its leadership, how does it want to connect with its own people. India as president has a different take, and in some sense our presidency has been very unique and unprecedented. I'll first, in terms of the substance, each country, depending on your economic size, in terms of whether you are developed economy or you are emerging economy, you have a particular approach towards geopolitical and geo-economic issues. India as a major developing countries, but with a big economic size, we are ranking 5. We have our own developmental priorities. So India's leadership would like to take advantage of having this G20 presidency and create understanding about our priorities, share with the world our narratives about what has happened, whether in the democratic space or digital space. How do we intend to recover the lost ground for the achievement of sustainable development goals? How to arrange for climate financing? These are some of the issues that each presidency may have a little nuanced approach.
Okay, so let me get again to the numbers, because as I said, you are the head of operations, Mr. Pardeshi. I'm sure everything has been planned already. The invitation letter that has been sent by the President's office for a gala dinner on 9th, where will that be held? There is also a question about Bharat Mandapam. If there are certain bilaterals that will happen, and if the two countries who are part of G20 want to have a bilateral. Have you got those requests and have you made arrangements within Bharat Mandapam for such meetings?
Yes, of course. Let me share with the viewers. Bharat Mandapam is the place where we have used to have old halls of Pragati Maidan. So during last 4 years, the government decided to redevelop the entire complex. So all the old construction were taken out, and in that place you see a world-class convention center in the form of Bharat Mandapam. So the main building that you see had 4 levels, and at different levels there are different kind of functionalities. So at one level you have the G20 summit hall, where the main meeting will take place. There is an arrangement for the leader and accompanying minister and high-ranking officials to participate. That will have a very limited physical participation, considering the importance and the gravity of or the nature of the meeting. Right. The other officials will be seated in viewing room, where they will have a live feed and voice over, of what's going on. The gala dinner hosted by the Honorable President will take place at a multi-function hall, which is huge capacity.
In Bharat Mandapam?
In Bharat Mandapam. A few weeks ago, when Honorable Prime Minister unveiled Bharat Mandapam, it was done from the multifunction hall. So multifunction hall will become a place where gala dinner banquet will be done. There will be a short cultural musical program accompanying the gala dinner. For bilateral meetings, we have made arrangements for 20 plus meeting rooms.
Okay.
The requests are being received, and we have a team headed by a joint secretary who is looking into all the bilateral requests, and it's the responsibility of that team to allot space and make necessary conferencing arrangements for bilateral meeting to take place.
Okay, so you have given us a lot of numbers here. Tell us who will be receiving the heads of states. Say President Joe Biden, who is arriving, Rishi Sunak, MBS and others at the airport. Will union ministers be receiving them? What exactly is the protocol that is being followed?
I will not go into specifics, but we have a standard protocol drill in place, which our chief of protocol implements. How leaders are received also depends on the timing. Definitely representatives from the Ministry of External Affairs, high-ranking officials will be receiving leader depending on the time. Whether there will be a minister represented from the government of India, that will unfold, and we'll come to know when the decision is taken. Unfortunately, I do not have final update in the
Fine
matter.
enough, I understand that, because these are of course last minute additions, subtractions. Over 600 flights cancelled. It is almost becoming like whether Delhi has enough airspace for all those Air Force Ones that would be arriving in the national capital. My question is this turning out to be a logistical challenge or a nightmare?
No, I would say it's a logistical opportunity. Actually, one key message and takeaway from the G20 summit should be the country is prepared organizationally to host many more mega events, including Olympics. So we don't take it as a nightmare. We don't take it as a logistical.
So you're seeing that as an opportunity?
Opportunity indeed. So we have sufficient space for parking of special aircrafts made at the technical area, Palam technical area, as well as Terminal 3. And the multiple rounds of review meetings have taken place with the Ministry of Civil Aviation, with the DIAL authorities, and the Air Force people. So depending on the requirement, and by now we know exact number of how many special aircrafts are coming. Some leaders or some delegations might take the commercial flight. So we have made calculation, and adequate arrangements at the airport has been made for parking of these special aircrafts.
So all the five-star hotels in Delhi NCR region have been booked. Have you received any kind of special requests from the delegations in terms of cuisine or some other requirements that they have?
Well, what happens in the G20, the accommodation arrangement is we as a host nation, it's our responsibility to facilitate finding accommodation. So we are a facilitator, we are not the provider. So we blocked enough rooms in Delhi according to the delegation size. We tentatively shared a list of the hotels and also the number of rooms, suites that they have. On that basis, hotels and embassies have worked out arrangements. Right?
Okay.
Apart from the official dinners, for example, 9th there is a lunch offered by Honorable Prime Minister. There is a dinner
Bharat Mandap,
which is a part of the working session.
Okay.
It's not a separate lunch, but it's a session will take place over working lunch. So basically on 9th, the leaders will be having meals at Bharat Mandapam in the shape of a working lunch and a gala dinner. On 10th, we conclude by lunch time. It depends upon their requirement, whether they have any bilateral meeting, they'll be staying at Bharat Mandapam or they return to their hotel. The rest of the meals, it depends on their preferences. Message, but I wanted to
Yes,
add,
please.
all our hotels, they are in close touch with the embassies.
Okay.
And by now, they will know the dietary requirements of
Okay,
each
that
leader.
works fine. We have heard a lot about the digital payment, because that has been also the focus of India's G20 presidency. Is there some special arrangement that is being made or some new protocol set up so that the heads of states can experience it?
We just had a briefing at the National Media Center about two things. About digital experience zones which are being created at Bharat Mandapam. And the second was on a specially designed mobile app. Now, the first one is creating an experiential zone for visiting leaders, delegates, ministers and media people to understand progress we have achieved in digital sector. India is very strong in terms of creation of digital public infrastructure.
That's right.
Whether it's Aadhaar or CoWIN or UPI, these are assets of digital public infrastructure. They are not owned by a private company. And this is an excellent narrative. And the developing South would like to learn from the Indian experience how technological transformation can enable socio-economic development in a country. So we are going to showcase this to the leaders. Apart from this, RBI is placing a separate experiential zone to try out some of the digital means that we have done. For example, access to UPI. UPI is through the mobile. Now, many people who are coming, they may not they are not registered for UPI, but RBI is intending to share this experience that even for visitors, some kind of facility will be created.
So perhaps Rishi Sunak and MBS would be experiencing it using the mobile phone.
Maybe
some arrangement will happen.
Some arrangement,
okay, before I move ahead and talk about the questions that are there on minds of Delhiites, I want to understand from you how many bilaterals will India be holding, and because the bilateral with the US is already decided, will that be in Bharat Mandapam or at LKM?
Depends on the date and time. It's very natural for any incoming head of state or head of government to seek time with the host, the leader. So naturally, we have received many requests. Now, you have to understand that Honorable Prime Minister is also chairing the session. So his presence at those sessions are important. So it depends on the scheduling of the Honorable
In all,
Prime.
how many sessions are there on 9th?
9th, there are 2 sessions, followed by a gala dinner. So you will see from morning until late evening, up to 9:30 or so. And you have to understand, Honorable Prime Minister will be receiving them at Bharat Mandapam individually. So he will be he'll be arriving there much before any other leader. So say.
And the meetings begin at what time?
I think
Around
9:30. 9:30, I
Okay.
think.
Okay, my last question now. Delhiites are worried whether their mobility will be affected at all. What would you be advising them, that they should take a long weekend?
That's a the useful suggestion you're making. In fact, we have seen in many places where such world events have taken place, whether it's in Australia or China or even in the Indonesia, for sake of not inconveniencing our own people. One method for the government is also declare the holiday, so they don't have to go to their workplaces. So after due consideration, the Delhi government has decided to declare 8, 9, 10, 3 days holidays. 9, 10, in any case, they are working days, off days. So you have to understand 8th is the arrival day, and there will be so many convoys coming from airport to different hotels. It will be for Delhi police, it's a challenge to manage the traffic. Therefore, it has been decided to declare it as a holiday. It will also affect incoming flights, because when some special aircraft carrying foreign dignitaries coming, you have to have a block for their arrival. So it is well, I understand it's a difficult situation, but it will be good if people can stay back, or they can take a long weekend and go to the mountains
All right.
close by.
Thank you so much
cities.
for your time, and I'm sure all of you have lots to do over the next 72 hours as India will begin hosting the world leaders. Mr. Pardesi, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.